A new meta has taken shape for Season 2. We're going to get into that, what it means for the tanks, the DPSers, and the healers out there, and how everyone's ranking out right now after the recent changes. Also, new decor items that might be changing how your housing works. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that too. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight in. First off, I'm not a big housing Andy, but whenever special housing items come up, I feel like they're worth talking about. So first off, we got a new fish that the enchanters of WoW will be able to create for anybody who wants to do player housing fish tanks. That's right. Fish tanks are coming, or at least, creatively. People will be able to make fish tanks of their own. Thanks to this new enchanted void well fish. Also, you got to remember pets are going to be a thing now in player housing. You'll be able to have your little pets running around. So, yeah, fish and stuff are going to be a thing. And evidently, you'll be able to make this enchanted void well fish. It is an animated fish that you'll be able to, hey, maybe customize and put into a fish tank. Yeah, shark tanks. Yeah, that could be a thing too. So, this is an interesting item. But even more interesting than that is this, guys. Have you ever wanted to walk into your home and hear the grand entrance of Stormwind as you do, or maybe the soothing sounds of Westfall? Well, just like your garrisons back in the day, if you played WoD, you'll remember there was a jukebox in WoW that allowed you to customize the music that you were able to have inside of your garrison. Well, that item seems to be coming back. The Tunotron 6000. We don't have necessary details right now on this thing, but it looks exactly like the garrison jukebox that once existed in the Warlords of Draenor. And if you were there, you had a selection of music that you were able to pick, again, for your garrison. This was the background music that basically played whenever you walked into your garrison. So it looks like we're going to be able to choose again the music that plays within our house. So a lot of people have been requesting this. A lot of people have been wanting it. Back then, you could pick things like the Night Song, Ironforge's theme song, Stormwind, The Shattering, Wrath of the Lich King. So different playlists and stuff that could play while you were in your home or in your garrison seem to be coming to the homing side of things. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Can we play the Lura AOTC sound? No, we haven't unlocked that yet. But yeah, cool new sounds could be unlocked maybe if you do certain achievements in the game. So this is a cool item, seemingly coming back from the dead from the WoD garrisons, now coming to player housing. So yeah, picking your song could certainly be a thing in 12.1. Okay, moving on to some more important stuff, boys. The meta. Or I should say, the new meta that's taking shape for Season 2. Yes, and taking shape it is. So we're going to get into this, the overall meta that seems to be forming. We're going to look at DPS, healers, and tanks. These lists have been refreshed with the new changes that recently went into effect this weekend on the PTR. So first of all, and maybe most importantly to a lot of people, the DPS rankings, boys. So here we go. Arms Warrior, currently sitting real pretty. It's looking good for Arms Warriors, finally. They are sitting in the A+, along with Arcane Mage, Elemental Shaman, Balanced Druid, Shadow Priest, Frost DK, and Enhancement Shaman. Those are your A tier, or A+ tier, I should say, DPS right now. As for A tier, we see Devour, Demon Hunter, Affliction Warlock, Unholy Death Knight, Demonology Warlock. Fire Mage, surprisingly, has made a comeback. Fire Mage, you guys all know, was in the gutter for quite a while in Season 1, so it's looking good for them after the recent changes. And Havoc Demon Hunter also sitting in here at A. So Unholy DK was really the hero of Season 1 when it came to DPS. Looks like they're still good. They're still sitting in the A tier, but they dropped a little bit down to from A+ to A, I should say. Unholy, honestly, was probably S tier in Season 1, if I was being honest with that one. For B+, we see Survival Hunter, Retribution Paladin, Furry Warriors, Feral Druids, they're the real furries, Beast Mastery Hunter, and Destro Warlock. For B tier, Outlaw Rogue, Assassination Rogue, Marksmanship Hunter, Windwalker Monk, and Devastation Evoker. Hey, Devastation Evoker, anything but basically the bottom of the fucking barrel's an improvement. So Devastation being B tier, that's good to see for them. Then we see Sub-Titty Rogues down here at C tier. And then still, in the works, Augmentation and Frost Mage here. Now, what this all means and how to break this down, really right now, we're looking at overall DPS changes happening, and a lot has happened. For DPS, the biggest change is Arcane Mage. After the first week of Season 1, Arcane has received a ton of changes, and leading into 12.1. Most notable, the rework to their Apex talent and complete redesign of Arcane Pulse. Mages are also receiving some love on the defensive department, with those Arcane are shaping up to be a serious contender for the meta scene in Season 2, with high targets, single target damage and AoE damage, plus not dying as often, right? Survivability was a big issue for mages in the first season, and that has been buffed quite a bit recently, thanks to Blizzard actually taking notes from the player base and saying everyone's been crying about mages dying too easy. They actually reacted to it. After a meek Season 1 map, Balanced Druids and Frost DKs are also looking like they could be part of the meta. A really strong PTR right now for them, joining the top cut contender group. A lot of changes coming in 12.1 for both of these specs, favoring them for sustained damage profiles, especially Frost, which is still a high burst damage, but right now has a solid sustained damage as well. So could be that we see a meta for, in terms of DPS, looking like Balanced Druid, Frost DK, and Arcane Mage. So that's looking real good. We'll see if these guys hold. But right now, that seems to be your top 3 in terms of meta prospects. Now, let's get into the healers real quick. Let's check out Healer Boys and how these guys are looking. So for healers, the healer tier list, here it is. We see Mistweaver Monk and Disc Priests sitting there in the A+. Now, Mistweaver, we did see them have their time in the sun in Season 1, so that's not too bad. Shamans, look, they're looking good. I see Just Play as Shaman, basically Hatsatude saying that. You're going to see a lot of good Shaman specs right now. Yeah, Shaman's looking pretty good overall, I will say. But anyways, Mistweaver Monk and Discipline Priest sitting there in the A+ of healers. Then we see Resto Shaman and Preservation Evoker sitting there in A tier, followed by B tier, B plus is Holy Paladin, and B tier, Resto Druid. C tier is your Holy Priest. I talked about this when I saw the recent changes just yesterday, went through all those videos live on YouTube for those, if you want to get into the basics of the changes. But I said this when I saw Holy Priest. I told them they need more. Holy Priest, I don't know. They're like the forgotten healer spec of this expansion. I feel like Season 1, Holy Priests were kind of at the bottom, and then it looks like the same with Season 2. They just haven't seen enough changes yet. Now, there's still time for more to happen for Holy Priests, but yeah, I do agree with this list. Honestly, they probably are the C tier of healers. As for everything else, I mean, Season 1, we saw a time where Restoration Shaman was looking real good. Mistweaver Monk was looking real good. It looks like they're still going to be good in Season 2. Disc Priests making a big comeback, though. It's nice to see them in the A+ tier once again. I love it when Disc Priests are good healers, because, you know, it gives everybody else a little bit of something something extra. Also, Resto Shamans. Basically any healer class that can also buff the DPS a little bit in the tanking, I enjoy seeing. So that's good to see. A+, A, B+, B, and C tier here for healers. Now, what does that mean overall for the meta? Well, in terms of healers, we see Mistweaver stays incredibly strong, as we saw on that chart, but it will likely see a playstyle change due to nerfs in the way of the Crane. However, Mistweaver has a new challenge for the top spot, and that is Discipline Priest that we saw up there. Disc is receiving a minor facelift in Season 2, with Mind Blast being available more frequently, albeit weaker. Patch 12.1 also added more build variety, with both Void Weaver and Oracle being close throughput-wise. These changes led to incredible DPS numbers coming from Disc Priest and Keys, way ahead of the competition. However, it seems to be a very mana-hungry in terms of the spec right now, so we might see a price to pay for that new performance boost for Disc Priest. As I said before, I think Disc Priest, when they're great, they help the group out a lot, so I like to see Disc Priest up there. And besides those two, we see close at the top, we also see Preservation, which is receiving a lot of changes going into 12.1. The main highlights being Mytheria's Blessing and Dream Breath, both helping tremendously in rot situations. Overall, Preservation is looking really strong for Season 2. Its final placement honestly depends on the results of Augmentation. If Augmentation ends up in the meta spec again, it will lead groups to prefer healers over poor Preservation. So there we go. Mistweaver looking like the big boy, but Disc Priest, as I said before, a challenger, looks like, for the meta here. So that's looking really good. Now, finally, and most importantly to me, near and dear to my heart, let's talk tanks, boys. Let's see how the tanks are looking. Overall, Protection Paladin is your S tier. I already knew this was coming. And I said this just so you guys know. You guys act like I don't know shit about this game outside of Blood DK. When the changes came out, I told you guys Protection Paladin's going to be the meta spec for tanking. I knew it. As soon as I saw the changes in their DPS and everything, I was like, these guys are about to pump their dicks off. They're about to be really freaking good in terms of their survivability. They're going to have the best AoE damage again, and they're going to be freaking amazing. It is what it is. You don't know shit about Blood DK. Well, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true, but I do play it a lot. So, Protection Paladin sitting there at S tier. A+, Protection Warrior. It's Old Faithful. What can I say about Protection Warrior? They've been there basically in second place, it feels like, the entirety of this expansion. They're Old Faithful. They're never bad, maybe never the best, but always a good choice. So Prot Warrior there, your A+. Vengeance, Demon Hunter. Looks like they flipped spots with Protection Warrior, dropping down to A tier here. And then we see B+. We got Blood DKs and Brewmaster Monks, and then the surprise, or I should say the shocker of it all. B tier. We have Guardian Druid sitting at the very bottom. Now, the reason why this is a shocker is if maybe you've been living under a rock and you don't know, but yeah, Guardian Druid not only took off in terms of tanking, it took off in terms of like overall spec in the game. Everybody was starting to play Guardian Druid. This thing absolutely exploded, especially like the final weeks of this season. Guardian Druid just absolutely took off. It's become the meta spec for tanks. It's become one of the most played specs in the game overall. A 2-button spec, maybe. But overall, I mean, say what you want about Guardian Druid. They were the meta tank for Season 1 for quite a while now. We did see a time when Brewmaster Monk was also the meta spec, but right now, I mean, Guardian Druid is by far and away the most selected tank. It's a strange list, it is, but this is Mythic Plus, this isn't ratings, so you got to take into account for who's really good at burst damage, AoE, all that stuff. That all matters in Mythic Plus. That's why Blood DK is, always good in ratings. Not the best in Mythic Plus a lot of times. But overall, like, take into account that this list right now, it's not going S tier to D tier. This is S to B. Okay, so that means that when you see a list like that, that means basically there isn't a lot of separation between these. S tier usually means like that guy's by far and away the best, but the rest of these specs, really, they're all kind of close to each other. There isn't a huge difference between, I should say, like Protection Warrior and Vengeance Demon Hunter, right? There's not a huge change there. Blood DK, Brewmaster, they're all viable. But Guardian Druid got freaking nerfed in the ground. Overall, when it comes to tanking for Season 2, we see Guardian is currently looking like the worst spec, as I said before, for Season 2. This is because a complete revamp to their Apex talent occurred, causing bears to be more careful in how they spend their rage. While this doesn't impact their survivability, it completely dampens their damage output, which was one reason why they really became the meta. They were just pumping. They were freaking surviving everything and pumping crazy damage. With bears running out of favor, the door opens for a new top dog, and that seems to be Protection Paladin. Going into Season 2, Protection has received the biggest set of changes among tanks, with a lot of talents being shuffled around, besides the raw number tuning. Joining Paladins, we also see Protection Warriors, as I said before, looking really strong, both in terms of survivability and in terms of damage output. They are strong contenders for the top spot as well. Groups with a lot of physical DPSers having access to Battle Shout is the cherry on top. So again, tanks, not a lot of separation between the boys. It looks like Prot Paladin's going to be your meta. So again, kind of summarizing everything that we said here, Prot Paladin looks like it's going to be your meta tank, followed by, we're going to have Mistweaver, I should say, what was it, Protection, Discipline. Disc Priest, yeah, Mistweaver Monks and Disc Priest being your healers. And then finally, as far as DPS goes, it looks like it's going to be a mixture of Arcane Mage, Frost DKs, and who was the third there? Balanced Druids. Yeah, those look like that's going to be your meta for Season 2 as of right now. Now, changes could occur still, but a lot of changes already happened. So we're kind of starting to settle into what Season 2 is really going to look like. But that seems to be your meta group for Mythic Plus going forward. And for today, that is all in terms of news.